Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about giving yourself the opportunity to win in games of Age of Sigmar. Quite often when I am playing at tournaments, or even in games in general, I find that myself or my opponent can lose games just because they never gave themselves the chance to win. This could be a psychological problem, where you saw the enemy list and, oh wow, how am I ever going to deal with that? You decide you can't win, and so you stop looking for opportunities. It could be a case of not maximising your victory points, instead focusing on killing your opponent's models, and this is where I'm going to start today. How can we create the biggest difference in victory points through denial or stealing by using movement intelligently? So let's look at the following example. Here we are playing on Forcing the Hand, where we choose an objective to be the primary each turn, and thereby the opponent would get 3 victory points for taking it from you as opposed to 1. In this example, they already have our other objectives, and so at the start of their turn, we would, as a last-ditch effort, make this objective the primary shown by the green marker. But it is our turn right now, so how can we deny these 3 victory points entirely? Our Fyreslayer's unit is staring down a clearly superior opponent who will kill our unit with ease, so fighting is not an option, so it's time to get cunning. Let's speed bump them instead and prevent them from capturing entirely. As you can see, by using a move, or if needed a run, we can move just in front of the objective, meaning that when the Iron Jaws charge, they will struggle to get around us, and the pile-in would not pull them in either. This would mean that, whilst your unit will die, the Iron Jaws player will be denied a potential 3 victory points, or if you got the next turn, it could be even more. This can quite often be the deciding factor in winning a game. As a final note on this tactic, I would like to mention that you can also use it to prevent teleporting units from capturing objectives should your unit be big enough. Now instead, let's look at playing aggressively, maybe stealing some victory points from under our opponent's nose, shall we? Now this is a tactic I like to call threading the needle. In this example, you are the Iron Jaws player. Your opponent has nominated the top objective as the primary for 3 victory points, and your 5 Ardboys are unsupported by buffs, surrounded by 10 Volkites either side, 4 of which are contesting the objective you're currently on. However, there is a gap between the lines just wide enough for you to fit through in theory. In addition, we have more backup at the bottom of the screen available to come in and charge the opponent or even hold a point. So what we're going to do here is, rather than fighting, we're going to move into the gap and exploit the charge bonus on the Ardboys to have a fairly reliable shot at stealing the primary objective, whilst our backup units run in to allow them to secure the objective we already have after the movement phase. As you can see, we have 5 more bodies on the point, so we know that as long as we don't fight and lose our models, we can hold this objective for at least 1 more turn. Our leading squad has snuck between the gap of the enemy army, of course, staying outside of 3 inches of the units either side. This has put us at 6.5 inches from the enemy hero, who is holding the primary objective by himself. Luckily, our Ardboys are +3 to charge, so that is a paltry roll for us to make. Let's move to the end of the charge phase and see where we end up. Here, we have made a charge move into the enemy hero. In this case, it is fairly low risk for our Ardboys, with the potential to deny support buffs to our opponent in their turn should we get lucky and kill the character. On top of this, we have managed to get more models on the point than the Fyreslayer's player has, and assuming we don't lose more than 3 models on the return swing, we secure the enemy primary objective and clinch those key bonus victory points. In the next example, we are again going to look at a superior force and make the most of an opportunity to get more victory points than expected using a tactical charge to extend our movement distance. This is our opening situation. Focusing on the top half of the screen, we have 10 Ardboys unbuffed, so with vastly reduced damage capacity, and a large enemy unit in the middle supported by heroes, so obviously not a great plan to charge and fight directly. However, Off to the right, we have an open objective currently held by the Fyreslayers player that they have been forced to leave to make a move to fight us. What we are going to do is make use of the movement of the Arboys and then a charge move to try steal the objective right from under their stunty noses. This is how we are looking after doing our movement. Still around 10 inches out from the objective, but using our +3 to charge, this looks doable if we chance it. Let's assume we get just above average and crack an 11-inch charge, meaning we can get there. Moving our first model into half an inch, we will then snake out onto the enemy objective as shown in the next picture. Here, we have tagged the back corner of the enemy unit, minimising our exposure to damage, as the enemy will pile in and get a couple of models in, but not enough to seriously risk killing our unit, whilst also exploiting the full movement granted to us by a long bomb charge to steal the undefended objective and get those crucial victory points. At this time, I would also say it is worth noting that had we gotten, say, a shorter 10-inch charge and been out of range of the objective on a flat run, we could have then instead moved in a snaked line just above the horizontal axis to exploit the pile-in rules, which require us to move closer or as close to the nearest enemy model, and that would allow us to move marginally closer whilst also getting a toe-in on the point using the pile-in from combat. Sometimes we have a threat that you can't afford to be in combat with, but you still need to fight. How do we get around this? One way is by exploiting a combination of charging and pile-in mechanics. This can allow us to charge a nearby unit, similar to how we did with the tactical charge just before, but then we use the pile-in to hit a unit that was not within 3 inches and thus not in combat with us just before. In this example, our Ironjaw's brutes are facing down Fyreslayers of the Hermdar Lodge, who are able to fight first, whereas our brutes cannot. And in the case of the enemy unit on the right, they will fight first and fight twice. Therefore, it is unwise to be in combat with them as they have a very good chance of killing us outright. Let's perform a tactical charge similar to what we did before and jump ahead to that shot. By charging into the much less deadly unit on the left and putting our other models in a strung out pattern to pile into the unit on the right from outside of 3 inches, we can negate their ability to fight first, as they weren't in combat before our pile-in move, which will massively decrease the threat to our units. So let's see what that looks like. Here you can see we've got a significant amount of our models into combat, perhaps even enough to kill that high threat unit on the right. But the biggest benefit here is that they could not attack us twice before we got the chance to swing ourselves. This has given us the initiative in this combat. This is particularly useful when facing down any unit that can fight earlier than you, be it through multiple combats, fight first, or even fight last mechanics. Finally, I am going to talk about using a pile-in to steal objectives from our opponent, similar to the earlier example where we threaded the needle. In this example, we are going to charge the magma trough with our Ironjaws. However, we are going to assume that we don't actually make it far enough to get onto the objective shown in the next image. As you can see, rather than charging all models directly into combat, I have kept them snaked out a bit. This will allow us to get onto the objective capture area by using a pile-in to get closer or as close to the magma trough. Of note, I would say this can be done in a variety of ways, including charging directly, then parting like water around the model. But I wanted to use an easy to see example. Let's move on to the scene after I make my pile-in. Here, you can see that by using the pile-in move to shuffle along the base slightly, and move closer to the magma trough but not directly towards it, we have got 2 of our Ironjaw's brutes in on the objective, meaning we will take it from those pesky Fyreslayers this turn and get some more key victory points. I hope this video has given you some useful ideas to put into your games and to help you tip the balance in your favour. What are some of the movement shenanigans you think can help you win games? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.